fresh off the stage. How did that feel?
Yes, it felt incredible. Like, what an iconic, amazing location.
Does the location change it for you? Like, does the Opera House make it?
Oh, I think it just makes it so special for the 10-year anniversary. I was literally at a ballet watching performers on stage 2 days ago, and then to be there myself was just really special. I just thought, wow.
Well, it's amazing to have you back, and I still remember your Airbus pitch from last year. Such a great story
It was
told.
very punny.
Yeah, but you know what? Stories really matter to us, and I'm interested from your point of view. Obviously, you do all the research, you do all the grunty work. How important is story to you and to your investors, do you think?
You know what? I just think that the story of why you own something and why value is going to be unlocked is often attached to whether people can believe in the story. And it's all well and good to have a good idea, but if you can't explain to someone why it's a good idea, then you're never going to convince anyone. And I think that's important in our team approach. You have to be able to get your idea into a portfolio as well. And even here, get people to go, hang on, this is something that's worth getting behind. This is exciting. This is interesting. And I think even when I research a company, funnily enough, I find looking at the history of a company, understanding how it came to be the way it is, tells you so much about the culture of it, about where it's going to go, what they might do strategically. And it's sort of the history of a human in the same way. A history of a company can tell you so much. And I think that's really powerful in finding good ideas.
It's interesting you said the word culture. It seemed to come up a lot today. You know, like the people of a business, the way it feels to be in the business. How do you figure that stuff out? Because obviously, talk to a CEO or a founder, they're going to tell you it's awesome. So how do you
They
find the
definitely
real
are.
stories?
I think that the proof is often in the pudding. You know, how did they come to the decisions that they made? Why are they making those decisions? Does that tell you something about the culture? And also, this is one of those famous Charlie Munger quotes, but show me the incentives and I'll show you the behaviour as well. And I think if you've got long-term, motivated, often founder-led companies where they have a vision, they're not going to be basing their decisions on 3-month share price moves or getting their options in a couple of years and then getting out of there. And there's a lot you can tell from, you know, I would say often how people actually behave versus how they say they're going to behave.
Thinking about the biggest story that it feels like everybody's telling right now, it's that AI story, potentially a darkish story. What's your take on AI and that story?
Oh, that's a big question because I think it does cause so much anxiety. As much as we talk about it from an investment point of view in this exciting way, I think a few things. But one of the big things I think is that we as humans always want more. And if technology was really going to upend our lives and lead us to have either a life of leisure and abundance, that probably would have happened after the Industrial Revolution in the first place. We never got that 3-day working week that we were supposed to get back in the 1950s and 60s.
I think it became a 7-day working week for a lot of people.
Yeah, it just didn't work out that way, did it? And I think we didn't use the technology to have more leisure time. We used the technology to be more productive. And I think that's where this is probably going to go. I think, is there going to be industries uprooted and changed and made more efficient? Yeah. But will people be retrained? I think that's possible as well. But we're really, really early in this whole, you know, how it's not only in terms of it being built and then how it's going to be used, but then how it's going to be regulated and how, you know, there's a lot of, you know, are we going to go down the road of, you know, it becomes self-learning and suddenly we're all in the Terminator? I don't know. I am an 80s child after all. That could happen.
There's been a lot of movies, and I'm a movie buff as well. I can't help but think, you know, yeah, exactly. Maybe we're headed that way.
I'd say learn to make your own food, maybe. Grow your own vegetables.
And build your own house.
Yeah.
Yeah. So is that the backdrop that you basically look at everything on now, or is AI not part of your
It's absolutely
backdrop?
part of it. I think it's here. It's being built. And for us, you know, we're value investors at Antipodes. How can you play on this very big investment cycle in a way that's still true to value? And I think there's a lot of exuberance and overpricing, frankly, but there's a lot of places where it's mispriced as well. And I'd say the biggest place it's mispriced is in companies that can use it rather than companies that are going to build it.
Yep.
And the other thing that people forget with it is, in order for one company to design a chip, you actually need a bunch of other companies to make the chip. You need other companies to make the equipment that you need to make the chip. You need another company that makes the silicone itself. You know, it is abundant, but it still needs to be put together into a chip. There's companies that do systems testing and measurement. There's companies that build design software that the likes of NVIDIA use. There's lots of other ways of tapping into this without getting caught up in the hype. And that's probably how we're approaching it at the moment. And also companies that have lots of data, companies that could really, just, use that information better. And I think that's where it's more mispriced from an investment point of view. But is it going away? I don't know. It's certainly not becoming, it's not like quite like that if you put crypto in the name, it's going to go through the roof stage yet. But sometime we are almost there in some cases, When Kodak launches an AI, that'll be they did do a Kodak coin. So I think this is one of those. If it gets to that point, we might be at the top.
Yeah. I noticed your stock pick today, not hugely influenced by AI.
Nothing to do with it.
Did you even say the letters today?
I did not.
Think you did.
And I thought that was very clever of me.
I agree.
Actually.
I absolutely agree.
And I think that's the cool thing about this is that people always get really hyped about technology, right? And I think the thing that I like to think about with any tech change or any disruption is the more things change, the more things stay the same. And I feel like my pick with Brookdale tapped into that human element of our lives, that we are human, we are going to get older, we are going to need healthcare, we are going to need nursing, we probably still want to have fun, have a disco in the nursing home maybe on our way out. So I think it taps into the stuff that doesn't change. And we still have a coffee cart here at Hearts and Minds. Like those things don't change. We're still humans. We're still going to be engaging in the world, wanting to, engaging with our friends. So I think that it sometimes gets forgotten in the hype about tech change.
Yep. If you were talking to young people coming into your industry, what are the skills they need? Because it doesn't seem completely clear anymore.
Some of the young people coming into our industry are a bit worried about it, genuinely. And I think what AI can't do yet or won't do yet is the judgment side, and, as you asked me at the very beginning, the communication side, because I think it's very good at extrapolating existing information, but the insight comes from the judgment, because there's probably lots of people who will tell you that the stock I just picked isn't a good stock, and that's why it's cheap. So I think that there's still a lot of opportunity for judgment to be applied, and we've seen it already with, to take it back to markets, the more passive money and the more algorithmic money there's been, the more opportunity there's been for stock pickers. And I think that's why the Hearts and Minds stock picks did so well last year, because there's actually just a lot of opportunity on the flip side of computers doing the rest.
Yeah.
So I think that's a positive story for people coming into the industry.
Yeah. Something I've observed, I don't know if it's right, but over the last 10 years, I've noticed a lot of fund managers are a little bit reluctant to public speak, a little bit reluctant to tell stories. I think you'd be one of the ones that isn't like that, but I meet lots that are. Is that going to have to be a big retraining, you know what I mean?
Yeah, there is the whole, on the spectrum fund manager cliche, I suppose. So maybe some of them are just blanketly don't like public speaking. And I think it is hard, we build a portfolio of stocks, and so that means we can risk manage, in aggregate, and putting one stock out there is always a bit risky because, it might not work in the 12-month period. But I do think the communication side is one thing, and the human to human of someone believing in a story that someone else, another human, told them isn't going away. And this is a bit of a random fact, but I was reading that, for example, if you have an AI counselor or an AI talking to an AI robot, your hormones don't actually fire in the same way versus when it's another human. And so, I don't know, I don't think we're at the point where we're replacing human communication. by any stretch of the imagination.
And when you meet with clients or investors or really anyone in business, do you think about that, and do you work on your ability to connect? Do you sort of think about that stuff, or is it more natural?
For me, I've always been a really people person.
Yeah. I mean, you've got heavy amounts of, charisma, etc. So I imagine.
I am one of these energy sponge people. And if someone gives me, which I love about Hearts and Mind, getting this beautiful, engaged energy from this audience.
So. Yeah.
And I respond to that. I'm such a sponge to that.
That's beautiful.
And equally, if people around me are in a really bad mood, that affects me too. So I'm sort of fluid to the energy around me, very woo-woo for a fund manager. But
That's why we love you, Vihari.
So I think this is not something that I work on, but it's just something that's a part of who I am. And I think everybody should strive for that.
Yeah, I think you should bottle that for sure. Last question. What's the thing that you're passionate about and talking about that you think most people are missing? Doesn't even need to just be investment. It could be anything. But what's something that, it's caught your eye, you're talking about it all the time, and you're a bit frustrated that no one else is seeing it, no one else is talking about it. Is there something in your world like that?
Oh, look, I think that, for our world, a lot of my world is investment world, as you can imagine, outside of my 4 kids, that is. But
just that little 4-kid thing.
Yeah, just it keeps me busy the rest of the time, when I've got nothing to do. So I just think that, the thing that humans and market participants are humans, and people often forget that, that's why there's opportunity. There's exuberance, there's despair, there's throwing the baby out with the bathwater, and that always creates opportunity. And in particular, you mentioned the 2 letters of AI. I think all of that focus on those stocks, people kind of extrapolate that's going to be how it is forever. And what people miss is that there's all this other opportunity. That's why I picked Brookdale. There's all this.
That's why I love the pick, because it's so counter to everybody else.
All this other stuff that's going on that hasn't changed. It's just people are doing their thing this whole time. And that's what people never seem to ask about. Never, ever ask about it. But actually, there's money to be made in those stocks, in those ideas, in that human part of the market, that just people get caught up, so they don't, it's not the fashion to talk about that stuff anymore. But it will be again, I think, because turning points always happen. And I always say in markets, momentum keeps working until it stops working, and then it goes the other way. So that no one asks me about those things, and I think they should.
Sounds like lots of change, possibility, ups and downs. How do you stay calm and unemotional through that? Because you don't want to jump at shadows, right?
Yeah,
you want to
that's
try
exactly right. I think.
So what do you do yourself?
Oh gosh, I go to the gym a lot. That's my happy place. It keeps me calm.
Yep.
In fact, if I don't go for a few days, that's when I start getting stressed and I get a bit teary. And then I go the next morning, I'm like, oh, actually, everything's fine. You know how I cried yesterday? Don't worry, it's fine. So
stand down, HR. It's all good.
It turns out no, I'm actually okay. So I did that. Going to the beach with my family. Things like that. I find that really. I always leave early and I go home and do story time, and bath time, and and will you brush your darn teeth, please? That I do that every night,
stuff.
And have those little chats with them, and I think that grounds me as well. And then then I get back on the tools when they go to bed. But I think just doing those little things for yourself that, I don't know, bring that adrenaline down helps a lot. And for me, that also includes spending time with people. For me, that's what grounds me. I know for some people, being around people is draining. I find it really energizing.
Yeah, I do too. Awesome. Well, I'm so glad that you're part of our universe.
Me too.
Second year.
Love it so much.
I'm thinking there's every year now, so hopefully
I'm so
Queenstown.
coming. I am 100% there.
Right.
I said to my CEO, even if I don't get another gig, which I reckon I will because Brookdale's so good, but I'm like so excited about it.
Yeah.
So excited about this. 4 or 5 times my money stock.
Amazing.
But if not, I'm coming anyway.
So you're all in on Brookdale, are you?
I'm in. In fact, the analyst who found this stock, he himself, he's just a young kid, so he probably doesn't have a lot of money, but he's got half his own net worth in this stock.
I love it.
Which is probably
Money where your
a couple
mouth
of
is,
grand or
man.
something.
We appreciate
it's probably
that. That's
not
awesome.
that much. It might be like
Hey,
$500.
it's all relative.
But either way,
If it's half your
how
net
cool
worth,
is
it's
that?
half your net worth.
So it really believes in it. It's really, and it's one of those stocks where, as a portfolio manager, I was across it. It's in the portfolio. It's a bit risky, as I said, so I had to, you had to do a bit of a rejig to get it at full weight. But then when you go deep on it and you find out all the details are good. The details are exciting. Like, wow, this is really something, an uncovered gem. And I think that's what our pitches should be, right? It shouldn't just be like, go buy NVIDIA. Like, anyone could go do that.
Correct.
It should be something that's really like, never heard of that before. That's what it should be.
That's absolutely what we're looking for. Yeah. Tell them something they don't already know.
Yeah.
That's what we want to do.
Yeah. So,
Well, thank you for sharing that with us. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
And see you in Queenstown.
You definitely will.
Let's book it.